We are back, baby. Now, for real, the podcast is back. It has been long awaited, long overdue. I must admit, they tell you get the episodes ready to go, so you're not just starting a podcast and ending it. I'm like, that for sure won't happen to me. Of course, that shit happened to me. But that's because I'm out here living, doing the things I'm about to tell you on the podcast. So for season 2, we're going in. I feel bad a little bit because I'm actually predominantly followed and listened to probably by women and moms, and I'm low-key coming after the fathers, and not in a way that women should not be tuning in. This will probably, if not heal you in some capacity, this will give you, I don't want to say ammunition, but this will give you, strong foundation to how you're feeling, so you can address some of these people in your life that potentially you need a little bit more from. Now, if you're a father doing the right thing, or you're a woman or a wife receiving the right thing from fellow fathers, this is still good. You got to keep them in check. You know what I mean? If you're very fit, it doesn't mean you stop going to the gym. It means you stay in the gym. You feel me? We got to stay mentally fit. So you're going to come with me for season 2. And we're kind of going to be taking this chronologically almost. My son is about to be born. It's just the fact of the matter. Rachel's 2.5 centimeters dilated currently, and the baby will be coming in this next 2 weeks for sure of that. And I want to address some things. And for episode 1, season 2, you just found out you're about to become a parent. You're going to come on the journey with me. I'm going to take you through what it means to be a father, and really what I'm going to be challenging throughout this process is the opt-out mentality. It's something that I've become very passionate about, and it's something that I've noticed. I think it's like the foundation of all of our arguments, right? So like when I get into it on the internet, or when I have these strong opinions and I'm like, yo, as a father, like, why are you not in the trenches? Like, why do you think everything outside of breast, like you have an option to these things? And I'm motivating fathers to get in and swaddle. I'm the one that sleep coach Laguna. I'm trying to get you to sleep coach your baby. I'm doing all this stuff, but like foundationally, I'm not addressing the mentality, which I know what it is now. It's the opt-out mentality, and it's given to you as fathers long before you even meet your child. And that's why it's so deep rooted in you when I'm talking to you, or when your girl's talking to you, or whoever's trying to challenge you a little bit. This is preconceived. This is something that's been, dug into you. You don't even know. It's subconscious almost that you feel this way. And I'm going to bring it out of you. And so we're going to go through this next season together, and I'm going to talk to fathers, and I'm going to address fathers, and we're going to challenge the opt-out mentality. And that's season 2 of this, and this will be paired with my newsletter, and I think you should be a part of it. And yeah, that's the whole intro to season 2. Welcome. It's not getting any bigger or grander or better. I didn't get a better camera. I didn't get a better mic. The hat is still sideways. Y'all know what it is, okay? But let's talk. So let's start all the way at the roots of the opt-out mentality. I'm going to describe it to you first. And the opt-out mentality is kind of the mentality that you have an idea that these things are choices, right? So first you're given choice. And I don't want to challenge the fact that you do have a choice. You can or cannot be as involved as you want. Each side comes with its own consequence and repercussion. But I do want to tell you that making any other choice besides the one that I'm going to lay out for you is fucking lame. It's the lamest thing you could do. You can't look at me and tell me that you are successful, you're a good man, you have integrity, you're honest, you're loyal. You're not going to be able to use those adjectives about yourself and also tell me that you weren't the best father that you could be day in and day out. You weren't the most involved father that you could be day in and day out, because this is a commitment you have to make to yourself and to your child. And if you don't have this foundationally, I think you have no ground to stand on. You can be Jeff Bezos level wealthy, but you can be an absent father. And I'm not going to actually believe that you have integrity, loyalty, ambition. I in the parameters of your work, I suppose, but I think foundationally you're weak, and you lack that very thing you say you have, integrity. I think you lack that if you're only talking about parameters outside of being a parent, because this is the most primal, rudimentary thing as a man that you can be is a good father, right? And so if you're skipping out on that, you're for sure cutting corners elsewhere. But let's talk about the opt-out mentality. This starts early, right? This starts when you find out that your girl's pregnant. Let me just bring it all the way down to the source, right? You don't even find out you're pregnant. Your girl finds out she's pregnant. Does that make sense? Like, it's all the way at the beginning, you're second. And you're going to continue to be second throughout the process of the pregnancy, even at birth. And I'm going to challenge you and suddenly tell you, you better be first for a lot of things, right? Because this is going to be how you're most fulfilling. This is how you're going to be most fulfilled. This is how you're going to get the best results. This bond that people crave that I have with my daughter, that's achievable through me putting in maximum effort, right? All things in this world have an equal and opposite reaction. And so the amount of effort that I put into Laguna is the amount of effort I'm going to get back, essentially, the amount of love that cup is going to be filled with. And, there's kind of this long-standing point like, oh, daughters love their daddy. And I feel like we throw that out for fathers that are even not very involved. But do young women love their daddy? You know what I mean? As they grow up to be women, and they may love their daddy, do they need their daddy? You know what I mean? Have you been involved as a son, your son, right? He may crave your approval. He may crave a significant relationship with you, but that doesn't make you a good dad because your son or daughter craves you. Let me just be clear. Now, it can be true that my daughter craves my love and I am a good father. I'm just saying that her craving my love doesn't make me a good father. Does that make sense? You got to think about it. So your girl finds out she's pregnant. Immediately, I assume it's known that you're left with a choice, how involved you're going to be. And we might be talking about a husband and wife situation. So you're locked in. You guys were trying to get pregnant. Let's say you were even doing IVF. Like, you've put time, money. Like, that still doesn't cancel you out of this conversation, because I'm sure there's plenty of families where the husband was working double shifts to do IVF and he's not delivering once the baby gets there. And I think that it's all the way down at the root. And once you find out that you're about to be a father, you now are kind of second in command, right? Your girl's going to go through all these symptoms. You don't have the choice whether to go through them or not, but you have the choice whether to be compassionate or not. I'm not the best partner. I've said that a lot. I got room to grow. I don't think Rachel is out here living the best life with me as her man. I think I'm pretty good, and I do know that I'm an amazing father, and I think that highly contributes to the success that we have as a couple. But I'm not going to tell you I'm the best partner in the world. So when I say you have a choice to be compassionate or not, sometimes I've chose otherwise, and I haven't been as compassionate as I could be throughout her pregnancy. And so I'm not coming from a place of all power, all knowing. I just mean it is a choice to begin with. Then you start going to these doctor's appointments. The nurse is never, ever fucking talking to you. The nurse doesn't even look at you. I know, I get it. I'm a father in the room too. It's not like I walk in the nurse's office like, holy shit, it's Ricky B. Like, what's good? Like, they don't give a fuck about me either. It took me answering all the questions about my daughter at her first pediatrician appointment, knowing her weight, her height, the time she was born, what shots she has, what shots she's not going to get, what shots she is going to get. It took this unbelievable knowledge. Knowledge is power, right? I had to pull up with all this knowledge just for the pediatrician or the nurse to even be like, start to address me in the room. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel like if I went alone, they would talk to me like I was slow, like, hey, so make sure, like, because I'm never going to get the same respect as a mother. And so this is fuel onto your opt-out fire, right? Because you're feeling not needed. It's the same thing if, let's say we do a pickup football game every Saturday. They never throw the fucking ball to you, right? You're just not their number one receiver. We're playing flag football with the boys. You're not the number one guy. You're not him. And because of that, you start to think, my attendance on Saturdays isn't really as necessary as, Jim Bob's attendance on Saturdays. He's a little bit more needed. And I think as fathers, we experience the same thing. My attendance isn't as needed as mother's attendance. My care isn't as needed as mother's care. And this is where we got to chop the tree down right here. We got to cut you in your tracks. We got to stop the train. This idea that you don't have to show up, or this idea that it's a choice, or this mindset that you're just a little less needed, you're wrong. And this is where we're failing our children very early on. And this is where it's hyper important that you're challenged. And this is where, as a woman, if you're listening to this, you're like, how do I get this across to my husband? I don't think that you should make it your Roman Empire. I don't think you should make it your mission to go get your husband involved. That's something that he should want to do alone. He should be turning on the podcast by himself because he wants to be challenged. He wants to be better. That's the type of partner that I want you to have, because that's the type of partner that's going to grow with you. But say you love your husband. Everything about him's perfect, but he's just not showing up in the right area. I'm not going to tell you it's a bad idea to invest in your relationship a little bit and dig into him. He needs to know that he's as wanted, as needed. And this, trust me, this is not a soapbox for your mans. I show up as a father. Rachel could be throwing darts at my fucking forehead on a picture in the bedroom because she hates me so much. I'm going to show up the same as a father. However, like I said, if you need a pick me up, you need an investment in the relationship. This is season 2, episode 1. Just let's start early here. We'll get to the part where we're just motivating your man. I need you to maybe invest a little bit in giving him his time, giving him his worth. And this is advice that I often give to fathers to challenge the opt-out mentality. I get DMs sometimes and fathers tell me, well, my daughter just doesn't want me as much, just doesn't want my attention as much. We'll go get alone with her. Hey, if your baby is fussy because she's got a dirty diaper, she's tired and she needs a bath, and mommy's not around to do it, I promise your daughter's going to she's going to work it out with you. She's going to need you as bad as she would need mommy. I swear to you. Because a baby's needs aren't going to be put on pause due to the person that's sufficing those needs. And so you're going to have to challenge yourself through all these appointments. We're starting down at the beginning, right? And so when I would go to the doctors, I would take my fucking backseat. Rachel gets all the attention. That's totally good at the OB appointments throughout her first and second pregnancy. Like, yo, I'm back here. Throughout the second pregnancy, my job was to just keep Laguna entertained, right? Like, I know I'm backseat because I don't have to push a baby out of my vagina. And so I don't really need the same level of care. But I also know that my mission doesn't start until that baby's born. Now, I'm tending to the pregnant person. All of her appointments are in my calendar. I'm keeping track of it. I'm doing what I can, but my mission doesn't start till baby gets here, Laguna or my son. And so I need you to know that when you're going through this process, right, people aren't looking at you as second, and it doesn't matter if they are. It's not even your turn to play yet. Right. So don't start judging your worth or your value or your community's need for you based on any moment prior to your child being delivered. Once your child is earthside, it's go time. It is now. You're in the game. You're not just in the game. You're the fucking quarterback. All right. You're the motherfucking quarterback. If you play video games, you're the last one alive while all your boys are in the gulag. You are the guy. All right. And for all my wives out there listening, your man needs to know it's game time when that baby gets here. So don't allow them to feel this second place opt-out mentality throughout your pregnancy. What I mean by that, don't do the fucking registry for him, right? Get him involved. It's like a group project or a school project, right? Don't pretend that he's just going to know how to show up when it's time to present your entire semester project. If no one asked him about, hey, what do you want to do on the poster board? Like, hey, this is your section. Like, what are you going to be doing for it? Get him involved. Hey, let's hop on baby list. Let's pick out a crib. Which one do you like? Oh, I read these reviews. Here, I'm going to send a few. You want to read the reviews on these ones? I'll tag. Why don't you pick out the dresser? I'll pick out the crib. We'll see if we like it. We'll switch. Your man needs to know that, and you need to know as the man, I'm talking to you, you need to get secure enough in yourself to know that your opinion is valuable. And I am going to address the women really quick. If you're shooting down your man constantly, like if he's like, yo, this fucking crib is sick. Like, I really want this one. I love the way it looks. The dark brown. I'm going to do I want to hang like a bear head in this nursery. Like, I get it. It's not all attractive to you. You don't love every idea coming out of your guy's mouth. And your nursery, that's your little princess dream. You wanted to build the perfect nursery for your little son or your daughter. And you've been dreaming of this since you were a little girl. But if you're just shooting down every idea that's coming from this man, if he even does care in the first place, you're not going to really have a husband that's fucking diving into parenting with you. This is a shared goal. Your child isn't your child. It's y'all's child. And the responsibilities of this baby isn't my responsibility or your responsibility. It's our responsibility. And so don't get discouraged when you're going to these appointments. Don't get discouraged when the doctor's not talking to you. No one's worried about you, okay? Your penis isn't going to be split open by a baby. And it's just me being frank. Now, once your baby arrives, this opt-out mentality becomes a little bit more evident, I think, once we get the separation of work and home. This is what I see most commonly. I'm not saying that women are the only people staying home. I'm not saying that husbands are the only people going to work. This is not me making a definitive claim. This is just me telling you what I see most common in our everyday world, right? By just fucking fact, foundational fact, and fact don't care about feelings, men tend to get less time off of work. Paternity leave and maternity leave tend to differ in time, right? Rightfully so. I am not telling you that as a man, I should get more weeks off of work. My insides were not rearranged. I totally understand. But once your man goes back to work, this is when I see the opt-out mentality really just hone in and headshot your relationship, okay? So when I see you guys come between the scope and just the relationship gets shot. I say this because once you get 8 hours away from playtime, right? Game time. Once you miss a few games, you start to think again that your value or your worth subsides a little bit. Because if you work 40 hours a week and the kids are alive every time you get home and everything's okay, how on God's green earth could you be that valuable if for 40 hours a week you're gone and everything's operating smoothly? And now that you're bringing value in another capacity, right? So you stop playing on the field. Now you're just coaching. You're back there providing. How on God's green earth could you possibly need to show up as the same parent as your wife when you're the one that's providing, let's say financially, monetarily? I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. You working a job, and I do mean any motherfucking job, is absolutely not a coin that is able to be turned in for parenting. You cannot barter your monetary income for your ability, your necessity, or your need to be a parent. Your paycheck, it does not equal time with the kids. Your bank account, it does not equal parenting, support, any of that. And I know you're thinking, okay, so I'm just going to be honest. This is not how I feel. This is not how I feel. I am trying to talk to men, and I'm not going to pretend that I don't know what they're thinking. I get a lot of DMs. I have a lot of conversations, okay? So don't take this hard. I know you're thinking, how the fuck does me paying all the bills and working my ass off so that we can have a fucking roof over our head, how is that not equivalent to nap time? The issue here is you're breaking this down into such a simplified manner that you're leaving out immense detail. You're leaving out so much detail that your point can't really stand on its own. Let me put it in perspective. It would be the same as if you read a news article that somebody in my home got shot in the face and I killed them. Right? So during Thanksgiving, Ricky B shoots someone in his living room. That's the level of detail you're giving to, I go to work and my wife does nap time. How's that? Like, I obviously work harder than her. That's the level of detail. But what you're leaving out is during my Thanksgiving dinner, someone came in with a gun and tried to rob us, and I handled the problem. You know what I mean? That might be a little far-fetched. I have a dark personality. I have a very dark sense of humor. But you see what I'm saying? I killed a home intruder. That's the level of detail you just left out. You earning a paycheck, especially, honestly, we're not getting paid a lot this day and age. So your measly fucking paycheck, like, things are expensive. What's crazy is your value's gone down and a stay-at-home mom's value has gone up. Inflation has caused your job to be less valuable, and daycare costs and yada 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 have caused your wife's value to go up exponentially. If anything, she's worth twice as much as you. But when you leave out all the detail, like being a stay-at-home parent is a full-time job, you absolutely cannot take your eyes off of the job. There is no choice to opt out. I use that very strongly because as a man at work or as a partner at work, if you're the woman going to work, your ability to opt out, almost nearly every company in the United States has a rule that anything immoral, unjust, against code of conduct, you can opt out. Don't do it. Seek higher approval, right? As a parent, if Laguna, my 15-month-old, fucking slaps my brand new baby in the face and gives him a black eye, I can't opt out of dealing with that situation. Like, oh my God, that looks really stressful. You know, when I was at work one day, Laguna fell off the bed. Rachel couldn't opt out of Laguna screaming her lung, right? The immense amount of stress. I feed Laguna every morning. She takes all her fucking food, throws it all over the floor. I don't get to opt out because, oh, that's not my job. I just do nap time. Guys. So I won't be cleaning up the fucking chia seeds on the floor that take me 6 hours to pick up. It's not an option. And at work, you have tons of option. And so when you bring in all the detail, your 40 hours of work a week, it probably doesn't even equal 40 hours of hard labor. And also, I'm still talking in a sense as if your 40 hours of work is comparable to a stay-at-home parent, when really we should not even be comparing the two. We should not even be comparing the two, because your job as a parent is a constant responsibility. It's something that you definitely have no greater responsibility than to be there for your quite literal offspring. This is your DNA walking around. Your literal DNA. Just because you see it being taken care of, just because you see it be able to use the potty by itself, or my son can put on his shirt, they don't need me as much. Yes, they do. This is your DNA. Every little move they make is you having another chance for your soul to walk through life. You have an opportunity to fix the shit that was wrong with you and give a better life to somebody. And there's nothing more powerful than that. And so I really want to come down to your level and tell you that it's never been a choice whether you should be a parent or not. And I guess if you make the choice not to be a parent, or you choose to opt out, child support should be, I guess, what you have to do. And child support exists because legislatively, I guess we recognize that if you're not going to be there emotionally, you simply have to be there financially, because it is a responsibility sometimes until the child is 21, if they go to college and stuff. And so that's a fucking weak ass excuse for what you should be doing for your child. But let's assume you opted in, yet you opted out, right? So you got through all these appointments, game time's here, and you just realize, like, I'm not really needed that much. Like, my girl's kind of got it. She's got the breastfeeding down, or maybe she doesn't and you don't know how to help. That's even more common. They don't have breastfeeding down. You're like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Do some motherfucking research. All right. I figured out that nipple shields were the key for Laguna and Rachel. So got my ass to the store and got some motherfucking nipple shields. I was there twisting Laguna's mouth, trying to get it locked in. You have so much value to bring to your child and your baby's mother. And to make the excuse that you don't have to give that value, or you don't have to give that effort due to the fact that you're not the one that birthed the child, or you're the one that has a greater responsibility in your head. You have a greater responsibility, quotations, I'm air quoting that, to financially provide for them too. That's just, it's a piss poor excuse. And you need to challenge yourself, and you need to understand that the other things that are coming into your life is more important, right? Those are the things that you need to kick out. And what I mean by that is, I think this opt-out mentality happens, and we're not realizing that if we put work at the highest level of priority, When we get home and we relax on the couch and we want to watch the game while dinner's being cooked up for you and mom's taking care of the kids, like, I got to chill. You've now just prioritized the football game and chilling above your children, right? Because on the list of priorities, we have to admit that your child are one of the priorities. Again, let's take it back to like legislative law. You'd have to pay child support because it is a priority to care for your child. Let's just take it back to moral law. You would have to be involved in some capacity. I've never even seen a picture of my biological father. He really escaped and no child support. So shout out to him. But you have to be somewhat involved in some capacity. I don't know. Maybe you take the kid on the weekends, because we are recognizing that it is a priority. But everything else that we prioritize above our children is naturally going to fall into place on our list, right? So we go to work, we come home, we hit the gym. I got to hit the gym. My mental health, my physical health is very important. I totally agree. Me personally, I'm like, yo, hey, I cleaned the whole fucking kitchen, got breakfast ready. Laguna's ready for nap time. Do you think I could work out? That's why on my Instagram story, I always post her sleeping while I'm lifting, because I'm like, let me try to get it in while Laguna sleeps, because it's important to me. It's a priority, right? But what I can't do is pretend that it's a higher priority than my child. And so anything you do above being there for your kid now becomes a higher priority than your child. And I'm going to take your partner out of this because I'm not a fucking relationship coach. All right, I don't know the right answer. I'd be fucking up left and right. I'm an asshole sometimes, yada, yada, yada. Okay. And so because of that, I'm not a relationship coach. I'm a fucking father coach. And as your father coach, you can't put other things above your child. I will tell you that you going to work and not losing your job to keep a roof over your child's head, that's very important. So I'm not going to say work is more important than your children, but I am going to say if your child, wants you to stay home so you can read them a book and you have a fucking shift at 9 a.m., you should probably go to your shift at 9 a.m. and mom will have to pick up the slack because you need to provide. But as soon as you get home, it's time to open that motherfucking book, okay? And the things you're prioritizing over your child, like guys' night, the gym, chilling, the game, fucking a brewski, I don't know. All that shit, it's not more important, and you can't opt out of childcare and then opt in to boys' night, because now you are directly comparing the two, right? It is, I got home from work. The next thing on my tasker is to be a father. Wait a second. Over here is going out with the guys. I'm just going to bump that up. Now I'm going to go out with the guys. It's like, sometimes I read these fucking comments and I'm like, who the fuck are you guys? Who are these dads that are just not there? Because I'll read these comments of women being like, send this to my baby daddy. My daughter's seen him 3 times in 3 months. What are you prioritizing? What has gotten in front of? Are you fucking insane? And that's what's made me realize, like, I need to challenge this opt-out mentality. Like, I need to tell you, it was never a fucking option, coach. It's not an option. You got to get the fuck in. And we're in this cultural obsession that fathers get to do other things and then childcare comes afterwards, and you're missing the point. And this will be the next podcast episode, but I'll just preface the point now. And my main point with this is, whatever you're doing for your child, changing their diaper, sleep coaching them, making their lunch, whatever you're doing for your child, even giving them love and security and validation, none of that. It's about 1% of what your child could do for you. Your child could heal you. Your child could help you find God. They're so pure. They're such good human beings before you fuck them up and they end up like me, or whoever. They're such good fucking people that you have the opportunity to be massively healed by them. Your inner child has the opportunity to feel its first hug in eons by your seed. And by you opting out of that child care, you're literally opting out of being healed, hugging your soul. And I think some toxic masculinity in life has probably given us the excuse to be like, what the fuck? I don't believe in that inner child shit. Like, I'm a man. No. You have emotions somewhere deep down in there. And if you don't want to show them to your girl or your family or your kid, I mean, I can't force you to do that, but you've felt insecure. You've remembered a time that you wanted someone to be there for you and they weren't. And those are all the opportunities that your child is giving you too. They're giving you the opportunity to show up when you had no one, and you have to attack that. And if you don't, I have to assume you prioritize something else over your child. And I think that it's because of this opt-out mentality, which is grown from the very base of the moment that you find out your girl's pregnant. You're not the one feeling the kicks. You're not the one getting nauseous. You're not the one earning the doctor's care, right? It's this sense of like, I'm not valid. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not needed. And yeah, bro, you got to get the fuck out the pity party. You're sitting deep with a cone hat on at your pity party. You look like a fucking clown, bro, at your pity party. You got to leave it. And as a woman, if you're trying to get through to your husband or your man and let him know, like, hey, even your co-parent, right? Like maybe it didn't work out for you guys, but he's got to be a good dad. Like you got to let him know this isn't something that should be coming second to other options. And I think that this, like, you're really going to go out with your friends. Like you're a piece of, like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like, we need to get mans in therapy and be like, yo, some of those things that you're battling, those demons that you're battling, that even these demons you're battling is what's even giving you the feeling that you are allowed to opt out because you're so sick in your fucking brain. Like that shit could be healed by being there for your child. And even on the hard nights, bro, like the hardest things that I've ever had to do with Laguna have felt the best when I achieved them. Like sleep coaching Laguna was not fun. Shit was horrible. Okay. Like the crying, the fucking, I never slept. It was awful. Rachel was pregnant, so she was super tired and nauseous. It was fucking horrible. But you know what? When I finally achieved it and looking at her go down now, it's been one of the most rewarding things in the world. Remember, everything on this earth is equal and opposite reactions. And so, like I said, if you're practicing really hard, showing up every Saturday for your fucking pickup football game and they're never throwing you the ball, imagine when you're their number one target, right? That's the level of validation you get to feel if you want to go get involved with your child. And this was kind of a broad overview. I probably just attacked lame ass fathers and deadbeats, but I think that's my purpose on this earth. No, but for real, I wanted to just kind of like fucking overview the entire idea of this opt-out bullshit. And I'm going to kind of lead into examples and literal pure true emotions that I've felt so that maybe we can have a shared experience where you think, guy seems like he's doing pretty good. And the way I'm going to tell you I got here to the doing pretty good part is by leaning into my daughter. And so I'm going to challenge you to do the same. And this next season of the podcast, but this next season of your life, we're going to grow you. We're going to make you a phenomenal parent. If you're the wife or a woman, there's going to be more than enough opportunities for you to tune in and be like, oh, that's hitting for me hard right now, whether you're applying it to yourself or applying it to your baby daddy. And we're going to make better parents. And that's why this shit is called the Better Parents Club. And I'm on a mission to challenge the opt-out mentality. I'm on a mission to make better parents because better parents make better children. Better children are going to make a better earth. If you guys haven't heard the saying, it's fucking powerful. Hard times make hard men. Hard men make easy times. Or soft times. Soft times make soft men. Soft men make hard times. You feel me? So this is not going to be like a fucking gladiator, hold up your sword, toxic masculinity podcast, but I'm definitely going to be talking to fathers and trying to make them the leader of their household. And I don't mean in the workplace. I don't mean to go get a promotion. I mean, I'm going to make you a leader in the workplace where your girl's like, hey, babe, like, what have you been doing recently? Because it just seemed like the kids are so like good with you. Like, what's some of your techniques to keeping them entertained? Or like, Rachel asked me like, yo, you get Laguna to go down for 3.5 hours. Not really. You get Laguna to sleep for like 2.5 hours when I'm at school. Like, how are you doing that? I'm like, oh, come in here, sister. Let me explain my method because I'm involved and I'm setting the standard in this household and I expect you to do the same. So if you heard this through the newsletter, I'm glad you're here. If you just heard this podcast on Spotify or something authentically, I'm glad you're here. Welcome to the Better Parents Club. Episode 2 will be out on a following Wednesday.